Hello, my name is Boutsen. I'm an architect, professor in architecture. I was until 2 years ago the Dean of the Faculty of Architecture of the KU Leuven. I am active in the European Association of Architectural Education as a council member, together with Mia Rood-Serina. And I'm also a member of the Chamber of Belgium Architects, National as well as the Flemish wing. And I want to tell you some things about public procurement and competitions. This morning, Ian Pritchard, the Secretary General of the ACE, in his introduction was mentioning that still today competitions are the best way to get quality in architecture, and honestly, I doubt about that, because competitions are tiring, are not paid enough, are really exhausting energy of architects, and it's a competition world that is kind of looking like football. And I hope in 10 years from now we find nicer systems, more elegant to get into the choice of an architect, and not always this macho world of winning competitions. And by that, actually empowering architectural offices that want to be ambitious. And it's the only tool we use, and we keep on saying that it is the best way to get quality. I really doubt about that. Public tender for architecture contracts. Sorry, to go back. Okay, yeah. Can somebody? Okay, got it. In 2023, in Belgium, important steps have been taken into the legislation surrounding government procurement. We are very satisfied with that, because there is this now rule that provides for bidding fees. Seems very good. This is a part of the memoranda we wrote together, Chamber of Architects, architectural associations, because we have a lot of elections going on this year in Belgium, not only European, but also national, and then very local. So it's the time to write things about that. The bidding fee as an obligation is interesting, but we want it to have much more concrete, because the workload is too high still today. The independence of the architect is really under pressure in Belgium. All over in Europe, we use very poor reference systems, and this leads to uncertainty about the extension of the assignment. So what in this federal memoranda is put forward is, of course, the necessity to have two-step procedures. I will explain that a little bit more concrete on the Brussels case, that enable high-quality selection. Design, build, maintenance should only be used as a very conscious choice. We should avoid competitive dialogue. We need much more compensation for participating architects. We need to provide proportional representation of architects among the members of the evaluation jury. You know, I'm part of the KU Leuven. They also have, they build a lot. So they invite me, and then I'm the only architect in that jury, which has a university that has a really large faculty of architecture. And to revise prices, of course. There need to be criteria to be established for defining the correct category of fees, adequate compensation of non-selected candidates is really necessary, and an objective analysis of the budget of the projects is also important. Actually, sorry, the little images that you see, it's just for you to get to know. It's a quite new school in Ghent, done by Xavier de Geiter Architects. It's a really nice school. If you're in Ghent one day, please visit it. It's only 1 year old. So actually what we ask all these associations in Belgium is that we need a handbook to be drawn up on the tendering of government contracts. Because as long as there is no handbook, people do whatever they want to do. There is also parts in this, I don't know about Croatia, but in a lot of countries, VAT is also problematic because architects need to ask, because it's an intellectual service, 21%, while a lot of countries, like Belgium, are now reducing VAT to 6% in relation to climate change, reconversion of old buildings, etc. So what we ask is to harmonize this VAT things and to make it, for instance, in Belgium, 6% for all things that have to do with demolition, reconstruction, also for the architects, not only for the building costs. I skipped that slide, I have too many slides, but in concrete terms, we are asking a commitment to renovate existing building stock much more. We have a complicated country. As you know, Belgium is a federal state with a lot of levels, regional levels, and actually there is, from all these governments, not enough influence to really work on this thing about renovating buildings and to improve the energy performance of existing buildings, which is much more complicated than for new buildings. You know, this is Belgium. The Brussels capital region is actually situated within the north, which is Flanders, and then you have Wallonie. So the challenge is the way in which architectural assignments are outsourced unnecessarily incurs costs for both architectural firms and public procurers. So because there is a national memorandum and there is a Flemish memorandum, I will skip this, but in the Flemish memorandum, and that's an introduction to the next part, we of course are very positive about a master builder. That's a wrong translation, Rijksbouwmeester, chief architect, whatever you call it. We have that in Flanders. We copied it from the Netherlands a long time ago, 15 years ago, something like that. We have now a person in Brussels called Christian Boret. The previous one is the second one. So this is a person that promotes the quality of the built environment by guiding and advising clients. And actually, I'm showing that about Flanders and Wallonie and Brussels because it's a contested persons. In Belgium, we have 2 languages, and actually the Flemish architects win all the competitions in Brussels, while they only make out 10% of the offices. So the French-speaking architects want to get rid of this Rijksbouwmeester. But anyway, he has this really nice website. You can check it out because they organize competitions for all public buildings in Brussels. They work a lot on research by design. They're implementing a lot of really professional advice on policies, on design reviews, on what municipalities want to do. And Christian made this kind of 10 points. This is how it looks like. 10 points for a good competition, which actually kind of really nicely works, although Benjamin, the speaker after me, will maybe say some different things because he has some experiences about that. So the first point is always organize a competition in a 2-stage procedure, which means a first stage consisting of an application based on skills, experience, and motivation, and then a second stage with only 3 to 5 selected candidates after this first stage. That is really important because otherwise, I mean, organizing open competitions is really deadly killing. Second point, all the information should be available from the start. And that is a really important point, because a lot of competitions are badly organized so that people or architects don't exactly know what to do. Even the Flemish official television, VRT, launched a competition some years ago for a new building. It was won by one of the biggest architect companies in Belgium, interesting, Robrecht and Dam, who was on a green building you saw in the Reinaers, a new hospital. But then it turned out that actually the program was too big. And then they blamed the architects for actually building up a building that was too high in coast, which was actually not their mistake. So they got kicked out, and then they organized another competition. So this is really terrible things. That is killing architecture offices. So all the information available from the start means that all the specifications should be published. Preliminary studies are really necessary, and specifications and everything are important. Now, to get this, you need, when you organize a competition, so says Christian Boret, and that's how he does it, you need to have the time for everyone. You see on the right side that the client needs time, the candidates need time, and the procedure in total. And you see in weeks and days and months how long this preparation period should be, because don't be too long, but also don't be too fast. That is really important. The fourth point is, of course, a very important one. It's all about fixed fees in such a way that whatever cost doesn't become a criteria for whatever competition. So what you see here is contracts divided in the type of project with percentages that are really fixed before. So the discussion on fees should not be part at all of the whole competition procedure, which works out really nicely. Even KU Leuven, as I said, where I was a jury, a small percentage of the criteria was based on the offer of the architects. And I was really angry about that, because they're playing with 0.7% under the official, I mean, really, like selling carpets or whatever. The fifth point is an important one, open access conditions. This means that the architects that are chosen have to show a certain level of experience relevant to the contract, but on the other hand, the entry requirements should not be too demanding, because they want that enough new and different candidates deserve a chance. So there is no minimum turnover requirement. The type of program and the way it's being handled, that is more important. References can be used only when they have reached the provisional acceptance stage, and some other things. But yeah, it's really open, and that's why this kind of open call is really successful. It allows very young architects to participate even in bigger projects. An efficient selection method, point 6. The selection of the candidates for the next stage is based on an analysis of the relevance of the references in relation to the required capacities. The client can formulate 3 capacities. That's why this preparational period is really important. And that's actually a nice way to have a client to formulate capacities he or she wants. It is possible to add a 4th capacity, which relates to a specialist discipline outside the designer's main activity, depending on what kind of building you're talking about. And a separate additional capacity is used to assess the relevance of the quality approach notes. And then there are some extra application things. The 7th point, this is really important, and in Flanders it's being done differently, but always pay an external expert on the jury. You see even the coast there below, pay him 400 euro for a half day, he or she. But this is a person that is kind of an independent person with a high expertise who can moderate juries, because you know a jury is always a simple thing. The one who shouts the heart, or the first speaker is always influencing the other speakers of a jury. So to pay a really professional external expert on a jury is an important point that they found out after a lot of competition. 8 points, award criteria that focus on the essentials. For architecture and public space assignments, there are 4 award criteria that enable the design proposal to be assessed in its entirety, and etc. For other types of assignment, the number of award criteria it can be different, but of course that is really important in the preparation to really define precisely the criteria that focus only on the essentials. And the essentials mean conceptual vision of a project, not the way it's been built, not the way it's been structured, etc. 9, remuneration for bids. And this is really nice. I mean, in making these competitions really fluent, you just make sure that every architect or architectural office is paid for a bid, and you calculate it by the number of sketch designs they make, by the number of A3s, for instance, that are delivered. 500 euro for one A3 single-sided equivalent, or a little bit less, I mean, but this is really nice to calculate a drawing like that in hundreds of euros. And then number 10, transparent procedure. Anyone who invests time in taking part in a competition deserves an explanation of the outcome. So this is really important that all the candidates get a really nice explanation why they didn't win, so that they can learn from this. And this is also a point that is in a lot of competitions not there, not existing. This bouwmeester, maître architect, the first term is Flemish, the other one is French, is actually there for all public buildings, but because of the success of this story and because there are a lot of prize winners, a lot of private enterprises are now also getting in touch with that system. And even public spaces are dealt through that person, which gives a lot of calls, a lot of fact sheets on the website that are being seen on the website of this Bouwmeester. And the magazine, the Belgian magazine of architecture, the good one, A+, organizes since 2 years a Brussels Architecture Prize. And actually what you see there is that thanks to this competition ID, there are really nice winners now, and in this very complex town with half of the population being very poor, 19 municipalities, 121 nationalities, a really complex town to build in, you see all these little gems of architecture or public space or landscape architecture like these ones popping up thanks to this system. In Flanders, it's really called the open call, and this is actually the same kind of thing with 10 points that are really similar to my previous story. I just wanted to tell you, I just go over them, that in Flanders, they work more with a cooperation protocol between the architect and the client in the preparation. The client appoints a project director, which is a little bit different system, but it's quite similar. A project file is drawn up, similar. The master architect announces the assignment on website. The client selects the design teams together with the architect. The client informs the designers. The design teams develop a proposal. The designers present their vision to the awards committee, the preferred bidder is identified, and the contract is awarded. And then there is, again, this quality monitoring. These are really nice examples, but it doesn't mean that everything is nice and luxurious in Belgium, not at all, because still we're talking about public buildings, okay, exceptions, but of course there are still a lot of little villages, cities organizing competitions that look like hell. The architects mention it to us, to the Chamber of Architects. We actually are not in the position to deal with that. That's why actually governments, politicians really need to get into this, and that's why we ask all the governments in Belgium to make handbooks that look like the examples I just told you about. Thanks for listening.